Thank you, Senator Crapo. Thanks to Chair Wyden and Ms. Pagan, thank you for your help drafting the Brown-Wyden Rapid Response Mechanism in USMCA. You took another corporate trade agreement and turned it into an agreement that will actually help workers in all three countries. So thank you for that. I want to start by saying that China's entry into the WTO has been devastating for Ohio workers and Ohio companies. The Chinese government cheats the global system using forced technology transfers, intellectual property theft, chronic state-subsidized overcapacity in key industries like steel and solar to undermine U.S. industry. The WTO can't be a tool by which China bullies its competitors. If China continues to make a mockery of the World Trade Organization, Americans and the rest of the rule-following world are going to lose faith both in the WTO and their own leaders to appeal for it for relief. That's the lesson that's so important for us to understand. So, Ms. Pagan, detail for me how you think we should reform the WTO so it actually works to address Chinese abuses which harm American workers and businesses.
Thank you, Senator Brown. There's a number of ways. One important area is transparency. One of the areas where, China fails is lack of transparency in its measures, and we want to improve transparency in terms of making sure that members are meeting their current obligations and bringing more transparency also to the WTO so we can have more conversations. The dispute settlement system has to be reformed because it has contributed to some of the difficulties for us to combat some of the unfair practices, and that's going to be a priority if I'm confirmed in my work forward at the WTO. I know this is an important issue and it's an important angle to bring to everything that we do at the WTO, is to bring the worker-centric focus, to remind ourselves of what, after all, we're there to do trade and to facilitate trade, but that it also means that you have to protect the workers that is where trade comes from. So there are any number of ways that we can address this issue, and if confirmed, I look forward to working with you on this.
Thanks, Ms. Pagan. The U.S., thanks to the Chair Wyden's efforts and his staff's efforts, has changed its approach to trade policy. The WTO must act similarly. I have confidence from our conversations, from talking to the ambassador about your work yesterday, that you will work toward that goal with the WTO and other member countries. So I know you've committed to that. I know you've committed to that over and over, and we count on that. Mr. Wilson, I appreciate our conversation the other day, how you plan to put workers at the center of our economic policy in terms of protecting intellectual property and innovation, especially in digital trade agreements. Thank you for your private commitment and your public commitment to do that. And last, Mr. Frost, I want to switch to your work with GSEs. I chair the Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee. Used to be the Wall Street Committee here. Now it's much more about housing. We have an affordable housing crisis. We know that. We'll need our entire housing system, including the GSEs, to work together to address it. We've heard from both consumer advocates and leaders about the importance of putting GSEs on a path to long-term stability so they can carry out their mission of providing all Americans with access to affordable housing. If you would commit to working with me on strengthening our housing system, expanding access to affordable housing.
Absolutely, Senator. I know this is an area that you feel passionate about. I do as well, and I know you've provided tremendous leadership here. The administration is deeply committed to affordable housing and has a number of efforts underway, to lower the cost of housing for American families. If confirmed, I'm committed to working with Congress to establish a housing finance system that works better than the system worked prior to the global financial crisis and the entrance into conservatorship. I think it's important that we have GSEs that work for the American people and don't have the too big to fail issues that we saw pre-financial crisis. If confirmed, would love to work with this committee and you and your staff on making a priority, making GSE reform a priority.
We count on that. Thank you, Mr. Frost. Thank you, Senator Crapo.
Thank you. Senator Barrasso.
Thank you very much, Senator.